and welcome back to Dice Down Gaming. Currently, it's me. We're currently trying to work with Dan to get him on. We're having some technical issues, so hopefully Dan will join me soon. If not, today I'm going to go through how to buy into Warmachine. In terms of all the different boxes, there's lots of terms in terms of command and core and auxiliary. What does it all mean? And then we're going to take a look at sort of the accessories that we wouldn't leave the house with, maybe sort of widgets or tokens and stuff like that. A massive thank you to anyone who is in the chat. I'm going to quickly try and join this Teams call and see if Dan can join me. If not, I'll crack on. I'll crack on solo. How's everyone doing in the chat? How's your week been? Very hot in the UK this week, so I am roasting. So we're trying to get Dan live. And until then, I'll fill some time. I hope everyone in the chat is well. Have you got any sort of hobby in this week? Any Warmachine? Any other hobby? Doesn't have to be Warmachine. I recently just bought into the old world. Locally, we are going to run like an old world sort of slow grow. So that's going to be really cool. I bought a Warriors Chaos Army for that. So I've got that to work on. And I've primed all of my Brian Bloods. So I've got basically the whole army primed and probably about 50% painted. And then I've got some Middle-earth on the go. I also play a lot of Magic the Gathering Commander. So I've always got that on the go as well. So, yeah, well, I hope everyone in the chat as well and what you got going on. Why I fill the airtime and we try and get Dan. Live. I'm sort of trying to speak to you guys. I'm trying to speak to Dan at the same time. So I need a little bit of lift music, don't I? Really, while I try and get Dan on. Any advice? Any IT gurus in the chat on why Teams isn't working? I'm going to ask him to try closing it in Task Manager and open it again. But if not, we'll crack on looking at how you should buy into the game of Warmachine. And then we'll look at all the widgets and the things that I like using in games. Cool. So while we wait for Dan, we're just gonna go ahead and go into it. So when you look on the Warmachine store, we're going to use Brian Bloods as an example because I've bought all the Brian Bloods. It can be a bit maybe overwhelming, not knowing what is what. There's lots of terms like command cadre and a core expansion. There's an auxiliary expansion. I think there's also some battle group box. So it can be a bit, what does this all mean? And you might think, oh, am I buying the right thing or am I buying the wrong thing by buying an auxiliary expansion over a core expansion, for example. James, headed to play my first Brawl Machine game after supervising 5 cadre games this week. Fantastic. It's always good to get a game in after you've sort of, like, it's like doing lots of demo games, right? You do loads of demo games and then you finally want to get in a game yourself. So it's nice to get a game in yourself after sort of doing so many demos or sort of supervising games. So that's similar to running a steamroller. I run a steamroller pretty much every other month. And after running the steamroller, I'm always like, gosh, now I just want to play games myself rather than run the steamroller. So it's great that you've got a game in. That's really good. So with the different terms for the boxes, there's this guide, and I'm going to post this in the Dice Down Gaming Discord. This sums up well what each box means and what you're going to get with it, and I'll explain a little bit where I think it might be good for you to buy, depending on what sort of level you are at in your collection. Val of Darkness, thanks for joining, man. We are currently trying to get Dan with me live, but at the moment it's just me. So I appreciate you joining me. So the bigger box is the the core expansion. So I think these vary in points in terms of how many points you get with it across the factions. This gives you one leader, and you typically get a character, war jack or war beast as well. You get a couple of units, and you get some solos as well. So if you're looking at an army and you're buying into it completely new, I think a core expansion is a really great place to start because you get a solid chunk. I think it's probably going to be around 40-ish points. I imagine maybe a bit more. But if you get, for example, when I started my Brine Bloods, I bought a core expansion and I bought an auxiliary expansion. Um, and that I then bought, I think, a solo and a unit, and that got me enough to play a 75-point game. So I think core expansion is a really good place to start if you are buying completely fresh into the army. And it gives you a good selection of units, a couple of solos, you get a leader, and you get one of your character cohort models for the army. Dan is trying to call me on Discord. Let's try and answer Dan. See if we can have the man join us himself. See if this works. Live. Nice and neat. We've had so little technical issues for so long that it bound to happen sometime. So the core expansion is your biggest box, and that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. On top of that, you've then got the auxiliary expansion. 2 seconds. Let me close that. Let me try calling Dan. Nothing like doing it live, hi guys. I do apologise if you've joined me and you're thinking what's going on. It's a bit chaotic. So if, for example, if we take a look at the Brine Bloods core expansion, which is the one with Boom Howler, you get Admiral Boom Howler, you get a Marauder crew, you get a pig boarding party, you get 2 attachments, and you get a Great Old One. So this would be sort of 6 points, 10 points for the quartermaster. A tapper's 1 point, so 11. That's 16. That's 27 points. There's 33. So that's around 33 points for the Brine Bloods core expansion. James said, always found the team core expansion confusing. Should just be called core box. Yeah, I do agree that it's. I don't know why they're all titled expansions, and they all sort of say, oh, you can add to an existing force, but obviously we've all got to start somewhere. So I think really maybe the core expansion and an auxiliary expansion should just be named the core and auxiliary box. Might make it a bit easier for everyone to understand from the outside what it all means. It looks like Dan isn't working at all for Dan. So I think you guys are stuck just with me for today. I hope I do apologise. But we will plough on. So on top of the core expansion, there's also an auxiliary expansion. So the auxiliary expansion is slightly smaller than your core expansion. You've got Shadow Tongue with an attachment, which is interesting because in this box you get an attachment for a unit that's not in the box. So, I think I can hear Dan.
I'm doing this now through my phone.
Oh my god. Dan is joined us live. How am I gonna?
So sorry. I've been trying to get every device I possibly have to get on, and I don't know what's happening.
He's only gone and done it though.
I'm on my phone currently, so this is the last resort.
All right, let me quickly sort us out.
Sorry.
No. It's all good because I can put us into this box and then everyone can see you and me, and then we're all good. There you go. I can put us like that. Right, there is 2 of us now. You can see me, and you can see Dan. That is great. So we were just looking through. First of all, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I was a lot calmer. about 20 minutes ago. I was like, oh yeah, just logging on. Oh, everything's going okay. Just should be fine. Not too bad. Managed to play a game this week against yourself. You taught me a lesson with Foul Blood, because it was great. It was a good game.
In Marauder Crew, we trust.
In Marauder Crew, we certainly trust.
No, it's interesting, right? Because I think at the moment we're finding the game quite lethal. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
And we're certainly finding that if something engages something, it's very much a case of not that will it get lifted. It get lifted all the time.
Yeah.
So I suppose what we're finding is that we can either we could start playing some extremely cagey games where we try and sort of stand off a lot and not engage unless it's absolutely perfect. Or what we're finding is when we do engage, we just everything that touches something removes it. So we're in an interesting place locally, I think, with the game.
Yeah.
James, I keep getting asked where the core box for the expansion is. We were saying that obviously because the boxes are called core expansion. For a new player, it can be a bit misleading because if you just want to, if it's your first box you're buying, core expansion can be a bit of a confusing title.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's one thing where you can do like box 1, box 2, box 3. Can like.
Yeah. So you got a game. Did you play any other games this week, or was it just the one?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, I was meant to play again, and then just things got. I was meant to play friend Steve, teaching him how to get good. Just life got in the way. But hopefully, this week I'm playing against Steve, potentially on Wednesday after several bits and bobs. But yeah, unfortunately not at the bunker, not at Harlow either this week. So, but then it'll be some holidays and I'll be cracking out games. And
yeah, man, you'll have like a training montage for Welsh. Do. That'll be good. Nice. So we've gone over the core expansion and we've gone over the auxiliary expansion. And I was just sort of saying that if you were looking to get into an army and you hadn't bought anything from it, a core and an auxiliary box to begin with is about 50 points, and it's a pretty good place to start. You get a couple of units. I think you'll end up with 3 units, a bunch of solos, and only one cohort model so far.
Yeah.
So after that, you go.
I think one thing to say is obviously once you get one of those 3 big boxes, it then is a case of just tailoring your army. There's sometimes you might think you want to get 2 of the sort of the cadre boxes and things like that. But I think it also, I don't know how you find it, Aaron, but sometimes it's worth just trying to get that one solo, that one attachment, and to get multiples of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I was going to start an army fresh, I would buy a core, an auxiliary, and then we've not spoke about a battle group box yet. But a battle group box is really good. You get a leader. So now we've got 3 different leaders, and you get 2 cohort models. So if we bought a core, auxiliary, and a battle group, we'd have 3 cohort models now. So not a bad sort of battle group for yourself. You'd have 3 different leaders, so you've got a few different play styles. And between the auxiliary core, you've got 3 units with a few solos and attachments. So that's not a bad place to start. And I think Dan's point is right there. I think then it's probably worth because I think you're probably going to have enough to play about 75 points then.
Yeah.
You'll probably then want to start actually maybe writing a list for yourself, and working out, I want to play this leader. What do I think works well with this leader? I think it's worth maybe some targeted purchases at that point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. James said Fury users definitely need a second cohort model ASAP. Yep, definitely. And Richard said, lads, Rid, what a legend. We love you, Rid. So I suppose, once you've got these 75 points and you wrote a list, especially for Fury and Focus, you're probably going to want to grab some of your like Fury support. So say Brian Blood's an example. Once you've got 3 war beasts, you're probably going to want at least 1 pig galley crew, because you want to lift the Fury off your war beast. And if you're, say, House Callus, you're going to want some little arcane dudes, arcane mechanics.
It's still can't remember incarnates.
There's some lame ass elf. Get some of them so you can power up your decks.
Yeah, that's literally it. They are give out focus people, and also the thing that says they can't be targeted by enemy spells. I can't remember the
Exorcist,
name.
that's the one.
Good job,
Uh,
Dorky.
Alex, do you have a link to these guys? Alex, I'm going to post them in the Discord, the Dice Star Gaming Discord, because it's a really fantastic. Sorry, I've not just explained to Dan, but I've got the image up, which is like the War Machine buying
Yeah,
guide, which shows like what box is what.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll put this in the Discord, Alex, and everyone can have a look at it then, because it's really handy. So yeah, so
I think
once there you go.
on that guide, a big thing from it is definitely pick up a colossal as one of the last things, because they look great, but if you're trying to learn a faction, trying to get onto you playing the game, that's something you probably want to leave till last. And also make sure your friends are kind of at that level as well. We locally have had a huge shift. We've played lots of games and everyone's gone, right, it's now time to buy a colossal. And that I think is fine, but it's if you are the only person in your group that's buying a colossal, it can be quite swingy.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, Alex. I didn't know there was a Discord. There is, and it's on the link on the YouTube channel. It's not it's not crazy active, but we have people posting their hobby and people ask about War Machine and various games. So I'll post that in the general chat there. Yeah, I think it's worth waiting until at least you're playing 100-point games, at least, and then it's worth waiting until maybe if you've got a new play group, or maybe you're an existing player and you're playing with a new play group. I would at least sort of wait till everyone's at a happy level with the game and they know what's going on and they understand scenarios, and because it can be a bit jarring, might not be the right word, but it can be a bit of like, how do I overcome this big model? Their power
Yep.
gets very high. They've all got significant guns. You can
Yep.
defensively stack stuff on them. So without sort of the understanding of, okay, I'll ignore it and play for scenario, or the understanding of how you can overcome it with your army, it can seem a bit suddenly, oh, they've got this massive robot. How do I kill it? It's a jump from a 100-point game to a 100-point game of Colossals, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And even just having the space to table, the positioning of it, and being able to make the most out of your purchase, because we all like our big nice thing, but if you put it down the table and it gets taken off turn two, you're probably thinking, oh, I've just I've spent the time to build it, paint it, whatever. So yeah, definitely do it when you're playing sort of those games where you both bring in a colossal, you're both like-minded, you're like, well, I'm here to test this, I'm here to try this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the right way to go. So say you've got there's some other options you can get which are smaller 30-point forces. Rid said, I still stand by that Mark IV Fury armies play like Mark II Focus. Mark IV Focus armies look like old Fury armies. Yes, I'd say with power up, it's very easy to run 4 or 5 Warjacks, because every Focus army's got their little Empower unit, and Empower is now range 6. So it's really easy to, if you have 2 of those and you put out a 6 focus, and then the 4 jacks power up. So that's already 3 of them fully fueled, and then your caster hands out 2. That's 4 war jacks on 3 focus each. So yeah, it's very easy, and I think probably not wrong that some of the Fury factions like Brian Bloods at the moment and Kyrax can run cohort light in some games and run lots of infantry, so it can sort of look like they're a bit more of a focus faction. Alex said, joined up, great. We've been introducing new people into the game. For me and other vets, we've made a list of classes and models not we can and cannot use. New folks can use whatever. Yeah, that's a really great approach. Obviously, you want to make sure your newer players are getting as fun as possible, and there's certainly some casters, like that will give your opponents less fun and are a lot harder to manage for new players. Cool. So yeah, so there's command starters and command cadres. Command cadres are a bit different now, because previously this image says that they're compatible with 2 factions, but that's changed semi-recently. Not every cadre is going to be across 2 factions. So for example, in Brian Bloods, Foul Bloods cadre, that won't be available for Kithgard, whereas the Fire Tongue cadre still will. So the command starters and command cadre are 30-point boxes. You get a leader model, you get 1 unit, and you get a solo, and you get a cohort. The command starters is all characters, so like the SKS 6 or SKX 5 maybe for Kador with Vilcol and Hounds, etc. Or for Crix, you've got Nikane with Hades and Furies and Shatterbane. They're all characters, and you get a leader, and then the command cadre is another leader, but it's not specifically all characters. So if you bought the Command Starter, the Cadre, the Core expansion, Auxiliary expansion, and Battle Group box, you'll have 5 different leaders. You'll have various units, various solos. If you want to go for an untargeted approach to get everything in the faction, leader-wise, and a bit of everything, it's not a bad way to do it.
I think specifically if anyone wants to get into Dusk, getting 2 of the Cadre with Moraine is actually a really good way to start playing the faction. Because also the Spectres are just really efficient, and also Mage Hunters. But that's not the same with some of the other Cadres, where you think actually getting 2 is not really worth it, or you definitely need to purchase that extra thing. So if you're looking for those smaller point levels, those 50 points or 30, trying to get into the game, sometimes just doubling up on the Cadres can give you also an aesthetic to aim for as well.
I think, well, same with the Battle Group box, I think that they're often cheaper than buying the 2 cohorts separately. So it's normally worth buying 2 Battle Group boxes and selling the extra leader, or use it for conversion or whatever.
Yeah.
So where does that? There's mercenary solos. So previously, mercenaries were their own army. Now every army list has got a set of mercenary solos you can use. I think these are a bit more of a targeted purchase. Once you've started writing your own lists and you take a look at them, you think you might want them for a specific leader, you can grab a solo or 2. And then there's only a few things more left now, really. We've got the extra large solos. So not every army has these. Orgoth has, or say Sea Raiders has the Seized Tarask, and Shadow Flame Shard have the Wyvern. These are 80 millimeters, so they're super heavy. For the Wyverns are super heavy, but not quite colossal. And the Seized Tarask is just an 80 millimeter big warrior model. They're like a nice centerpiece for your army if you don't want a colossal, but you want something big. They're not a bad shout. And then we've got, last but not least, really, we've got the extra large mercenaries. So this will include Nostilla and Aberration in the future. But we've got Big Pig, or I think it's called Bringer of Mass Destruction, Death and Destruction, BMDD, and we've got Lord Carver, and we've got Magnus and Invictus. So these are available to every army. Again, they're a nice centerpiece if you want to put an 80 millimeter into your army. Not every army sort of synergizes with them massively, but they're a fantastic looking sort of piece for your army if you want something to paint up and look good. You've got Big Pig, right, Dan?
Yeah, so Big Pig was, for me, was a model. I started playing before Christmas, and while he was prevalent in the meta, the model's gorgeous. So I got him at the start of this year after the January update, and I've played a load of games, particularly with Moraine. I think it's a great model. I think those large mercenary models are great to get if you want a centerpiece. Obviously, Dusk at the moment didn't have a colossal, so I thought, right, let's get one of these. Let's have a big piece. Played it in different lists, and also because it's that mercenary, you can obviously play it across factions, which can help if you're worried about sort of costs and things like that. Would really recommend it. I know that Den has painted up his, I can't remember the other guy's name with the big warjack. Oh, what's his?
Magnus.
Magnus really well. So I love that. And I know that I think you just saw in our little group chat that show and just painted up his
Big Pig.
His big too. So it's a great model. If you're trying to learn different techniques like blending and things like that, I think it's definitely worth it. But doesn't, unlike before before January update, where people were just taking it because the rules were just so amazing and it was just the reason it was in every list at WTC. Now it's more a flavor piece, still good, but yeah, you're enjoying it from all the model.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really great points. And then the last box we have is the Mercenary Battle Engine. I think this is the Battle Brig, and there might be another variant of it, but this is an 80mm sort of like blimp that you can use in, I think, every army access to it. As far as I understand, pre-January update, these were like very, very popular and very, very good, competitive for their points. They've taken a little knock, but they still maybe offer you something if you really like the theme of it. Another really great like centerpiece model for your army. Alex said, I will say, Steamforce Games been knocking it out of the park with just beautiful models. Yeah, I think they've been doing really, really well in terms, the recent releases. I think Gravediggers, they absolutely nailed that sort of World War II, sort of Cold War aesthetic, like in the trenches, literally. And I think with Old Umbre, they've certainly scratched my sort of Circle or Boros old Druidic vibes with a new flair.
I would say as well, one thing to pay attention to is if you're looking to buy a new army, sometimes these photos that are on the site don't do them justice. We've spoken about how your Brian Bloods, didn't fancy them at all when I looked at the photos on their website, but seeing them up close and in person, I think actually they're lovely sculpts. But the model that for me sticks out that on the site, I think the photo is terrible. If I'm honest, I don't like it. The look of it is the tri Chimerax, or what's it called?
Yeah, you got
You can
it.
say
Yeah, you got it.
Chimerax. So that model, it for me on the website and the paint job, it looks quite messy. You can't really tell what it is, but when you see it in person, you're like, oh, it's three serpents that are entwined together, and it looks awesome. So best bet if you've got friends that you know are playing that faction or play locally, see if you can have a look at some of the models first, because you might not be sold on the faction from how someone else has painted it, but if you see it in real life, you might give you some ideas as well for what you want to do with your scheme.
Yeah, that's absolutely a good point. I think the Abyssal King also suffers from a not great
Yeah.
photo. But interestingly, on the Trichimerics on the website, they've added a second photo now with it
Oh,
slightly at an angle. So they've
yeah.
definitely sort of had
Pop that.
some, yeah, definitely had some sort of feedback, because I totally agree that the front on angle, it's just so hard to read what the actual model is. But from the side is way better. Alex said, Old Umbre and Grey are beautiful. Yep. I was really fortunate that Steam Forge have reached out to me, and I'm being sent the Old Umbre battle group and command box for sort of some marketing material. So I'm going to be painting
Mate.
them. Yeah, I'm going to be painting them green and gold. So the armor's going to be green and gold to hark back to the Circle Ouroboros. I'm super excited for that. So that's going to be some content coming up on my channel. So that's going to be really cool. And I was sort of looking around for a second army. So that's going to be them. So that's going to be really good. Cool. And also, Dan, you'll get a break from playing against Marauder Crew. So it's a win-win
No,
for everyone.
yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah. Right. So that's really the buying guide. I think there's a couple of things as well, not just in terms of models, but the game. I would say that one of the really important things is that I would always, when you're trying to choose an army, pick an army you like the look of. I think it really, really massively helps that once you do start painting things and you get it painted on the table and you see it come together, like, I'm a very, very slow painter. I'm not a very high level painter, but, as I'm slowly getting the army come together, I'm really enjoying how it looks on the table. And that makes you want to paint it more. And there's a massive satisfaction of seeing the painted force. So I think you will want to paint and play your army more if you pick an army you like the look of.
I think that is key as well, because especially with the three focus on painting, competitive play, and narrative play. I think you want, although you might be competitive, you want to be able to scratch that itch to actually just enjoying that hobby side. And I think you're spot on there.
Absolutely. Alex said, I've been painting my old Umbro up too. I'll post them in Discord. Yes, please do, Alex. We're going to take a look at some of the hobby before we finish today. And I believe there's a Russian name, and I'm so sorry, but I don't even know how to begin to produce it. He says, hello guys, how's it going? Really, really well. Thank you for joining us. We're really grateful. How are you, and how's your week been, and what hobby you're up to? So I hope that gives people an idea of, if you're looking to buy into Warmachine, what box is what. The expansion term is a bit misleading. There's just a box of models. You don't have to expand on anything. Your core and auxiliary is your biggest boxes. Your command box and your battle group boxes are smaller boxes. And I'd say go core auxiliary battle group, then play some games, write some lists, and then maybe make some targeted purchases after that. Anything you think we missed there, Dan?
For me, I would, depending on sort of your circumstance, I would advise not buying it all in one go. I think you want to, if you start with those lower points, get to know what you like about the faction, because you might go, do you know what, I can skip that box and I can buy two of that, or I want to have an extra one of those jacks. So definitely get time on the table. If you've got the financial ability, or if you know actually I love that model, just go for it. But don't feel you have to when you start a new faction, because it's certainly not necessary.
Yeah, I think when I jumped back into the game, we played 75 points straight away because I played a lot of Mark II. But I think Steve's a good example who hasn't played a game of, not alone Warmachine, but any tabletop game. And I think him playing at 30 points and going up to 50 points has been really good for him. So you could just grab a command starter, play a 30-point game, and go from there.
Yeah, and he's ready. So we're currently of a 5-game being Mr. Miyagi, his Daniel-san. We're training him up. And he's really feeling that that's helping him get the foundations of the game, and also to understand his cast days playing Sub-Zero, I believe. And then we're going to be moving on to 75 points. But yeah, definitely, if you've got new players, definitely recommend playing those points levels. And also, I think someone in the chat said about limiting what you're using. If you go to those points levels straight away, you can think, actually, you know what, I can't take X, Y, and Z. So it can sort of level the playing field a bit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think getting used to playing without all of your quality of life, support solos and buffs may benefit you in the long term. Because sometimes, you might not need them in a list, but you're so used to automatically picking them. If you play some smaller point games and you don't have them, maybe you'll realise you don't need them, or, you do need this one, but you don't need that one. So I think there's some value in that as well.
Yeah.
Will is the fella with the Russian name. I'm thinking about getting my hands on some Mark IV faction, Sea Raiders or Old Umbre. So both really, really good choices. I don't think actually, I'll be honest with you, Will, the only thing with Sea Raiders is if you want to play a competitive game, you are playing a bit of a one Warcaster faction at the moment. Horus is by far and above the best Warlock in their faction, and the rest sort of are worse. Old Umbre is hard to comment on, but in terms of aesthetics, I'd say they both look fantastic, and that's really important. You own a final interdiction Menoth army. Me and Dan both played Mark II, so we've got a lot of love for any Mark II faction. Menoth, I think, are a massive crowd favourite. People always want dinosaur riding Menoth to come back, so always. And he wants to hop on a Mark IV faction specifically. Yeah, I can understand that. I think we've said, Dan, that we feel like Mark III might be sort of a bit underpowered when you're playing against Mark IV.
Yeah, and I think also just for sort of the longevity of playing Mark IV into the future, you want to place a faction that can have maybe a release every year or whatever. Not something that you're going to be waiting around or for January updates to hit and then going, oh, okay, I now need to find that model or change the way I'm playing that unit. So yeah, I think playing a Mark IV faction really helps. I think aesthetically, I think they're better looking generally. The scale's better, especially compared to the PP, where we had some of the sort of limbs in certain humanoid factions were a bit of a struggle. But yeah, so it's been what people prefer. I think if I was to play another faction, while it's tempting to go back and get a Mark II or Mark III army, I'm just going to go for a Mark IV because I know I can get it. I can get replacements. If something breaks, I can go and order one. If I lose something, I can order one. I imagine it must be quite frustrating for those people that are still trying to complete Mark III or Mark II factions.
Yeah, and you get to interact with things like the spell rack. I feel like you get to fully play with the Mark IV rules. So you have to let us know, Will, what army you end up on, if it's Sea Raiders or Old Umbre or both of them or more. You have to let us know. So okay, that's a bit about sort of buying into the game. I hope that's helped anyone who's maybe a bit unsure what to grab. We're going to take a look at some of the widgets and accessories that me and Dan use very often. I think they help speed up your game. So if you're playing on a clock, they'll help you, and they'll also help you just measure things more accurately and being more clear with your play. And I help understand what your opponent is. Help your opponent understand what you've got going on the table is the best way to word it, really.
I think also some of these things just help you play the game and enjoy the game because you're not having to get a bendy tape measure or some other bits or try and remember everything in your head. So I think that when we go on to this next bit.
Yeah, Will said I'm Ukrainian, actually. Well, it's incredibly rude of me to call you Russian, and so
wow,
you have all of my apologies.
You are worst time to ever get that bit confused.
Yeah, that's not a good one. That's good to know. Thanks a lot for the explanation. You're welcome, Will. Yeah, so if you're fresh into either of the armies, I think you get two routes really. Maybe if you've played the game before, so you've played some Mark II, You could write a list, say a 50-point list, and then buy the boxes that will get you that list most economically. Or you could, or just buy a core and auxiliary, for example, and then, or say a core in a battle group. You can probably play, if you can play a 50-point game from that, and then you can go from there, explore the faction a bit more, and see how you like it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is tokens. So there's a few sources you can get tokens. I'm fortunate to be an affiliate with Monstrous Makings, and if you buy a token from Monstrous Makings after clicking my affiliate link, I think I'll be honest, I think I get a 10% commission on what you buy for affiliate making. So if you spend £10, I get £1. So that's how that system works. They make tokens for all the current Mark IV factions. There's Gravediggers, etc. And I don't think there's an old Umbre one yet. I think they normally wait for a full army release and then give you a whole token set. So they've got army sets. They've got a universal set, which is sort of Focus Fury, and there's a feat token in there, and there's like continuous effects. There's also these little writable tokens, which me and Dan are a big fan of. You can just pre-game write out all your effect for that game on these tokens, and then you've got them to hand. And your opponent is going to be clear on what's on what your models.
So, from someone that didn't used to use tokens in any game system before Warmachine, it makes life so much easier. If the token's there, you remember it, your opponents remember it. And if you were playing at an event and someone comes around and says, "Okay, have you got where's it marked?" You've got it right there. Can't argue about, "Oh, I didn't do it," or "I did do it." I know locally, so lots of people have bought into Monstrous Makings. I think Monstrous Makings tokens are really, really good for the price as well. I think they're pretty competitively priced. I've also used Muson Minis before, as well as Frozen Forge before. Both of those companies don't really stock as much. And Broken Egg are an American company that are a lot more expensive compared to Monstrous Makings, especially if you're trying to get them in the UK. And yes, I'd recommend Monstrous Makings. I have some of their tokens for the objectives, things like that. I think they're definitely an essential. Definitely buy those. The reversible red and blue, sorry, just helps. And I think that they're also great if you've got family members that want to buy you a gift at Christmas or a birthday. You can send a link and they'll go, "Oh yeah." When we're talking about tokens, obviously you've got the army tokens to spells and all the rest of it. But I think you're just showing at the moment potentially the sticks and things like that. And widgets to measure. We're big fans of having a measuring stick and widget. If you can get those sets, definitely worth doing so, because bendy tape measure, especially when you've got magnetized warjacks, you can suddenly pick up a jack accidentally, but with that tape measure, and also it just means that you can be really clear that I'm staying outside of 11 inches of threat or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. And the new token sets are really nice. I've just been using the writable tokens and old stackable focus. So me and Dan both use writable tokens. We think they're great. One thing I've found, with a token set that is named is, the start of the game, I get all my tokens out, and then turn 2, I use this one effect, and I've not got a token out, and I've got to then maybe pause the clock, and if you're not allowed to pause the clock because you play, say, an event and it's a time round, I've got to go back through my bag and get this specific token out. With writable dry wipe tokens, you can just write the effects out you need, and if you find you're missing an effect, you can just write it on a token and put it on the table. And I think actually, Dan, it's not even so much about, okay, if you haven't got a perfectly neat writing and you write enliven and it's not perfectly said enliven, having a token next to a model that you've tried your best to write the effect so your opponent can read it, even if it's not perfectly legible from tabletop view, your opponent's going to ask, "Oh, there's a token next to that model. What does that do?" And then you can explain it. So it's just having a marked token somewhere explaining an effect on a model.
And I think the dry wipes are really easy. Obviously, you don't have to get a faction specific one if that was the case. Some people buy fridge magnets. These white fridge magnets I've seen in some games, and they just write on those with different names. So if you wanted a really cheap option, alternatively, you can try and make your own tokens. Back in Mark II, I had slate that I painted different colours for like the upkeep spells for all my troll effect, and that kept doing really well with the fact that the trolls were carrying a stone, so they've got the stone effects. And I've recently just done some of my own some factions for faction spell tokens, just because it wanted to make them really clear that that is a spell. But again, having tokens is just better than not having tokens. And Monstrous Makings, great company to buy from. We've had loads of people locally that bought into them as well. I know you have. yeah, would thoroughly recommend.
And I think, like you say, there's Monstrous Makings, there's Frozen Forge, there's Museum Minis, and there's Broken Egg, and those are the ones that I know immediately of that sell the Mark IV token stuff.
I don't know if Frozen Forge is still around though. They're a great company, but I've got a feeling they are no longer existing. But don't hold me to that.
Okay. Let's we'll investigate that live. Alex says, I would worry about losing them. I do really like the ones that have the name and effect on. All come down to preference. Yep. Really doesn't matter if you've got something that has got Enliven on it printed or something that's got Enliven on it written. Hell, if you've got a bit of paper next to your model that you've written Enliven on, great. Just have your effects marked. And Will said there's some decent tokens out there. For our group using OPR tokens, which I don't know what OPR is.
Don't know.
A bit counterintuitive because of using the same token for different effects. So yeah, I'd get these tokens after getting Mark IV Army. Yep, if you got the Pacific Faction ones or some Dry Wiper ones, that works. Alex says there's one big thing I appreciate about the game. You can add so much character to your stuff through things like tokens and objective markers. Yep.
Yeah. And that makes it look great. You can go display boards as well when you go to events or if you want to take things around. Yeah.
I saw someone had got some 3D prints of they were walls, but they had little pigs climbing the walls, and they were like walls for Brian Bloods.
Nice.
I'm trying. I did message him about if as he got the STLs or not, because that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So that's sort of tokens. Continuous effects obviously get some fire, corrosion, knockdown tokens, and have some tokens so you can mark your effects. That's one thing me and Dan wouldn't play a game without now.
Yeah.
So next up, I think, there's proxy bases and measuring sticks. They're probably the two things that aren't sort of ability or continuous effects tokens that we wouldn't play a game without. Proxy bases, you can pre-measure, and if you think, if something's, because we're not always going in a straight line, if you want to move around a building, or if you want to maybe move and then place somewhere, so say I'm placed in Brian Bloods and I've got a Varroga, I want to move 5 and I want to jump 5. Having a proxy base to clearly say to my opponent, I can move 5 here, he's happy, great. I can place 5 here. I think it's really important because it's really hard sometimes to do an over-the-top measurement. If you've got some models that are quite tall, when you're trying to get a tape measure over the top of it, you'd be amazed at how much you're mismeasuring by putting a tape measure over the top of the model and doing really high.
I think also with the sticks as well, being able to just lend them to your opponent and just go, oh, like how many times have we said, because you don't have, I don't think you have a 14-inch stick, this isn't a euphemism, but like being able to just go, do you know what, Aaron, like here you go, you can put mine down on the table, and that helps well because it's again that game, we're playing the game together, we're not just playing it against each other.
Yeah, annoyingly, I've got so I got my set from Art of War, which I don't think, again, I think they're gone now as well. But mine are like 2 to 10. But annoyingly, 11, I have to measure a lot, and I don't have an 11, so I will need to try and find an 11-inch stick. Alex, I have custom Grimkin markers, and my walls have gremlins on them. That's really cool. I found little rubber feet you can use as finger puppets. Wrote feet on them. That's really good. And handing them out. See, that little things like that, being able to customize your army and the game is really cool. Yeah, so on top of that, your measuring sticks are going to save you time rather than sort of trying to bend a tape measure or put it down. You can just plot your stick on the table, very easy, very clear to your opponent. So I think proxy bases and measuring sticks are something, again, we wouldn't play a game about these days, Dan.
If I'm honest, measuring sticks are a thing that I wouldn't play any miniatures game without. I am completely converted. I still have a tape measure in my bag, but whichever system I'm playing, I'm using some sticks because it's just easier to measure. And like when you've got models that have bits sticking out, you don't want to stamp your hand with a spear or whatever, or slap a spear with your hand. Yeah, we definitely recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so we've got some measuring sticks. We've got some things to mark our effects. We've got some status effects tokens, and we've got an army. I think we're nearly there. So there's a few more things that me and Dan. These are probably more like quality of life things that we sort of use a lot. So first of all, we've got a website, a company called Warmag. These guys produce magnetic sheets as well as a box and the lid, and as well as the magnetic sort of inserts for your bases. All in one, you can buy a box, a sheet, and the magnets for your bases. The magnetic sheet is incredibly strong. I did a video just about these boxes, and I turned them upside down, and nothing moved. They do higher boxes if you want to try and fit a colossal in one. And they do shorter boxes for infantry. I think you use these, Dan, as well.
Yeah, so I've got my infantry and a thinner box, and then my big pig and some taller models in the bottom, in the large box underneath. And obviously, when I get the phantoms, I'll be chucking them. I'll be seeing if they fit in the big one, or I might need to reconfigure. But going from Mark II, where I used to have a big KR multi case, so I had a Kaiser 4, which was the 4 boxes in a backpack, as I would carry my entire troll faction everywhere I went. It was great workout, it weighed a ton, but because of the way the 3D models are now, I don't feel you need that level of foam between them, but you want to stick a magnet on, put them in these wall mag greys. It makes it so easy. It's so easy to get out of tournaments and be like, right, here's my list. You can see it really clearly. They don't move around. It'd be my way of transporting a skirmished style force would definitely be with Warmag. For if you're playing a not Warmachine and you're playing sort of a rank and flank game, I actually think if you can magnetize it, and you wouldn't possibly use Warmag, you could use Warmag, but you'd probably want multiple of them in a bigger box. But yeah, magnets are for me the way forward now to store armies and to transport armies, whether you're sticking them on your back seat in your car or you're getting on the train to get into a city, carrying that box. You just know they're not going to wobble around as much. It's not as cool looking as a backpack. Maybe you can put them in a backpack, but I'd thoroughly recommend them. It seems madness when I look back in the shed and I get my Kaiser 4 out and think this is what I used to carry everywhere. And yeah, models are protected, but I just think it's just not necessary anymore. I know there's other companies. Personally, I've never really liked Battle Foam because I find it scratches the paint off models. But there are plenty of other companies, Feld here, I think it is, where they have foam cases. Definitely something that if you've got a Mark II faction or Mark III faction, those old metal models would definitely recommend for that, because they can those softer foam you want to keep everything protected. What do you think, Aaron?
No, yeah, I totally agree. So obviously we both use these, and I think nearly everyone at the Shelton Bunker and Harley Game Shop, which transports Warmachine, uses Warmag now. For a bit of a context, I've got pretty much the whole faction now for Brian Bloods, a bar the big 80mm in faction mercenary, battle engine, which is like an airship. So I haven't got that. I've got the rest of the faction. I can fit that in 2 big cases and 1 little case, and the Abyssal King lives in his own little cardboard box. So if you got like an infantry tray and a higher tray, that's going to fit a good amount for why you're investing in an army. I try to sometimes travel into London to play their steamrollers, and I normally take 1 tall case and 1 little case. Really easy to transport on the train. You get a few questions because they're quite see-free. People ask what are they, but they're really easy to transport. On top of that, they've just also done a collab with Warmachine, so the magnetic sheets that you get in the bottom of the trays, you can get printed as your faction army logo. So you can get a Brian Blood or a Gravediggers or an Old Umbre, whatever magnetic sheet. So I'm gonna get a couple of red boxes with the Old Umbre magnetic sheet for my Old Umbre, which would be really cool. I'm sure.
Red or green?
Oh yeah, maybe I'll go green because I'm gonna paint them green.
Cool.
Yeah, because they've got a really nice snot green. So I'll do snot green and Old Umbre bottom, and then they're going to be green and red. So yeah, definitely. Lucy's going to be thrilled that I'm going to buy more boxes. So transporting your model, it doesn't have to be Warmag, but I would recommend some, because previously when I first did this, I went to the range and bought some magnetic sheets, and I got some neodymium magnets and put them on the bottom of my bases. When I'm playing Old World, I'd buy a magnetic sheet and I'd glue that to my movement tray. Then I would put magnets on the bottom of my rank and flank guys so they wouldn't move in the movement tray. You could transport them in a movement tray. Yeah. But some sort of magnet with a magnetic sheet works really well. And Warmag sell you, for example, for £27, you get the box, you get a sheet, and you get 1 option for a sheet of magnets. So you can get 30 40mm base magnets for £27. So it's really reasonable and the quality is really good.
Yeah, and delivery was really quick for me in the UK. I don't know if you had the same thing.
Yeah, no, it was really quick.
Do you have a link, an affiliate link for that, Aaron? Or
I don't, unfortunately.
Do you know what? Here's some free advertising, Warmag, because we appreciate you, and I think lots in the Warmachine community will be well onto the Warmag.
think here locally, like between Harlow and Chelmsford, we bought bloody loads of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So great. That's a good way to transport your army. It doesn't have to be more mag, but some sort of magnetic transportation is really good. A couple more things, and then we'll take a look at the hobby in the Discord. If anyone's sort of watching, Alex, I'd love to see what you if you some of your work and post it in Discord. We've got dice trays. So dice trays. I was lucky enough to get bought a really sort of nice wooden one, and it's quite big. And there's an option called all rolled up, which are they're quite small, they're quite nice, and they're quite easy to fit on a table.
Yeah, I've got those all rolled up. Also, you can get somewhat like Amazon dice trays. But the reason I would recommend dice tray, helps speed up, helps you keep your models safe and other people's models safe. There's nothing worse. You spend ages painting a model, and someone's launching casino dice at your beautifully painted model that you've spent hours on, or accidents broken. Accidents happen, but if you roll in a dice tray, you also don't have that awkwardness of is it cocked, is it not? You just say it's got to land flat in the dice tray, and that's it. You know where they are. You're not spending 5 minutes searching under tables when it disappears off into the distance. And I would thoroughly recommend everyone using a dice tray. It just makes it really obvious for your opponent as well where to look at this. You know, we've all had those moments where you go, "Hang on a second, was that a 6?" Or "Hang on a minute, you re-roll. You roll that quite quickly there," or that bobbly dice that's like that. You want to make sure it's all clear.
Yeah, so we both recommend a dice tray. At the moment, mine's so big that sometimes it's just awkward to fit on a table. So I've actually ordered yesterday. I ordered an all wrapped up dice tray, so I can fit it on a table a bit easier. But we'd recommend it, like you say, it removes cocked dice because you can just say, is it flat in the tray, yes or no. Your opponent knows where to look visually very quickly. They can glance up, look at the dice. Okay, I can carry on marking damage or whatever you're doing. And it removes rolling a dice aggressively across the model and snapping like a resin freaking spear off an elf or something, because the resin can be a bit brittle sometimes. So not necessarily we don't play. I play some games without a dice tray just because I don't know, a bit lazy, but certainly it improves the quality of life for you and your opponent using a dice tray.
Yeah, and just make sure you put it in a place where you both can see. That's the only thing. Don't put it behind the building and be like, "Oh, I rolled a 6."
Yeah. Because I mean, one of the advantages is your opponent knows where to look, so when they're looking, make sure they can see it. And say last, not least, but our chess clocks. Me and Dan play the majority of our games on a clock because A is good practice, and B I mentally tap out after about 2 hours of a game. So it's good, nice to know that you've got the limit, and also time equity is a thing. I don't want to hog. Yeah, I don't want to hog 40 minutes while Dan plays for 10 minutes. So chess clocks are great. If you go to Amazon and type in chess clock, there's 6,000 results, and all of them are appropriate. You just need a clock that you can tap in.
You can use your phone, but obviously we're now using phone often for our apps or tablets for the apps. So you don't have to buy one, and you can obviously there's loads of things available. A piece of advice to be to people if they've not got a chess clock, I would just recommend you say to your friend at the start of the game, "We've got 2 hours for this. Let's try and keep to 2 hours." Just even if you're playing casually, because you just don't want to get into that state where Warmachine can, if the dice go wrong, it could end up being a 5-hour game if you don't have any limitations.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, don't get me wrong, if you're a new player to the game and you're playing some 30, 50-point games, don't fret. But at any point, if you're playing a game in which you're practicing for a steamroller, or time is limited, or you just like to ensure you get time equity, a chess clock is the way to go. Excellent. So that sort of wraps up. We don't really play games anymore without tokens, widgets, and proxy bases. I'd say we never play a game without them.
Yeah.
Most of the time we use a dice tray, and when my all wrapped up one comes, I'll use it for every game essentially. And then we play the chess clock really every game. But when you're at the point you want to practice for a steamroller or get used to playing under time conditions, you're going to want a clock as well.
Yeah. And bring your models not in a old ice cream tub that you had back in the 90s, and you've got the toilet roll wrapped around each individual model. If you've got the ability, spend a little bit of money, and it will help keep your Model's looking good.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Warmag as well. Warmag as well. Fantastic. So that's going to wrap up how to buy into the game, and it's going to wrap up the things that we use to play pretty much every game of Warmachine we play now. I hope everyone found that somewhat useful. We've had like loads of engagement in the chat, and it's been really really cool. So thanks for talking to us. I'm really grateful. Now we're going to take a look at the Discord. It might be a bit harder for you, Dan, because you're on your phone.
Yeah, currently I will try and multi-screen on my phone and do other bits, but I don't.
So I'll run through it, and if you're able to do it, no worries. So we're kicking off with Brian Quinn. He's got some sludge frails. These are really cool. He's got like an internal glow to the unit, and the skin looks really nice with some highlights of yellow with some dull greens.
Love that rust effect that they've got.
Yeah, and I love sludge frail. I think the models are really cool. So yeah, they've done a great job here. Unfortunately, next 4 posts are all mine. So I've been doing my my Brian Bloods recently. So we've got my second quartermaster. This one, them models, which I will not paint another one of them because there is so much stuff on this model. It's painful.
There's not enough barnacles, mate. I think there needs to be at least 6 more.
This one's not even so much barnacles. Just if you look at the shot of the back with where the suitcase is open, there's just so much stuff, and then he's got guns on his back, and yeah. So I wouldn't paint another one of them. But there's my second one's done. Then we've got Shum. I was pretty happy with Shum actually.
That looks great. They all look great. I think your application of contrast across your whole army has made it really pop, and they're so cohesive. It's what we want for an army from 3 foot away as well. It looks great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think it's one advantage of contrast is the colours you can get are like they're almost like neon colours, which work for some armies but don't work for some. But I think for organic stuff, it works really well.
Yeah.
We've got a little pig coxswain. Really like this model, right? Really like the eelwitz carrying. And then last but not least, got my second unit boarding party. Actually, I'm really happy with these. I didn't really take a closer look at them until I took the photo, but it's actually amazing that the skin on these is only contrast paint. Okay, sometimes I apply it a little bit heavier in some areas, and sometimes I don't. But I've had people ask me like, "Oh, what is your recipe for the skin?" I think is it like a miracle paint, Frostheart contrast paint for blue skin? I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and I think trolls have always done well with washes. I used to paint all my trolls with a nightshade wash with skin. What I like you've done here as well, Aaron, which is a point for hobbying. You've got 2 units. They're clearly 2 separate units because you paint them a little bit different with the red and the yellow. Would thoroughly recommend that. If you're playing multiple units, try and make it a little bit easier for your opponent to tell which one is which, especially if they're going to have like Shield Guard or Tough or Vengeance, and you're playing 6 mechanical throw units.
You win. Yeah, there's not any sort of list in mind, but no, I know what actually. I think I missed a trick because I think with my Marauder crew, I could have done the fabric and all the Marauder crew different colours, but I powered through the first 2, and they're the same colour, and then I thought, oh, when I got to the third, I'll keep it the same. But I could have done like yellow, green, and maybe I don't know, red and a third fabric. But that is what it is. I've painted little stripes on the front of the units to be yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they're coming along. I think I've got six models / units left to do before the Welsh to be fully done. And we've got 9 weeks to go now, so I'm definitely gonna be done for the Welsh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have phantasms to potentially paint.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'll be really good. Val of Darkness said my Shun came out great, dude. Thanks, man. I'm really happy with Shum. It's a nice sort of centerpiece-ish model because I'm not taking an Abyssal King to the Welsh, so it's a bigger model for me. Then we've got Chris. Chris has always got just really amazing stuff. So we've got some old school Scorn, which is a bit of a one for a guy with a list, but old school Scorn. Then we've got some Grave Diggers, which are painted in like a Space Wolf-esque grey colour. Yeah, really cool.
Love it.
Got Hasker there with some mines and Plugger and some Valiants, etc.
And as always, great photos. We always say it when we're looking at his pages.
Yeah, he's so good at like the backdrop and everything. So Chris really excellent. We've got some old Umbre. I don't know this guy's name, but I just always called him the old dude. But we've got the old dude who's got insight. I know he's got insight. and then
Yeah.
some Kador in the it's Boris in the sort of frozen-esque terrain.
Yeah.
Looks really, really great. And then below that, we've got more of Brian, who has posted some Cephalix, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love the skin. Love the sort of different layer of colours he's got on the skin here.
Yeah. And then
We've got
what?
some Yana. Absolute. I think Yana's going to be an absolute riot to play an old Umbre. You can get her to like Def 18, Armor 20. She's going to be sweet. So I'm really,
Nice.
really excited to play Yana in old Umbre, and really, really great painting blog. What else? You've got the Primeval as well, which
Yeah.
a really cool model. It's like an old like Warp Wolf ish, right?
Yeah.
Um, so he's got the hunting spear. I think he's got all the variants actually. He's got one with the sword and the shield, and then one with the skull and the sword. Oh, and the staff and the skull. Yeah, I think we've got everything there. So really, really cool.
You know, these old Umbre hopefully will inspire you, Aaron, to get yours painted when they turn up, and get them
Yeah,
on. Are you going to go for contrast again?
I think I probably will for two
Yeah.
reasons. One, it's a way to get me them done fast, and I can be quick to lose interest in painting something, to be honest. So if I, like I think a primary here is a good example. Is I can have one color for the non-furry bits, a color
Yeah.
for the furry bits, and that's probably 70% of the model done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and again, it's like their muscly folds that the contrast will sit in and look really well. So yeah, I'll pre-contrast these. And last one, we've got Alex. Thanks for jumping into the Discord, Alex. I'm really grateful. And we've got old dude again. I will learn his name at one point. And I really like your purple color.
Yeah, and the flame as well contrasts really well with the darkness. So yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
it really pops off the purple. So some really, really excellent hobby work. Really appreciate everyone posting in the Discord. It's always nice to go over it. Sometimes we can't go over it every week these days because we're lucky enough to have guests on, and it can be a bit awkward to make them sit through it. But please do post in the hobby Discord. We love seeing what you're doing, and I'll keep posting myself.
Yeah.
What's your current hobby project, Dan? You got anything on the go?
So for Warmachine, I am now just waiting for some phantasms to turn up. For outside of Warmachine, I am still trying to build a Trench Crusade board. I've got it all cut and foam all sorted. I just need to seal it and then start building it up. I've got a couple of Trench Crusade models to paint up. I have somewhere in my shed. I think I've got a Conquest City States Chariot that's somewhere that's brand new in box that I can't find at the moment. So that's something I will look to. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm just in that state where I've got everything I want to paint painted. Everything's what I'm playing with. But yeah, when two big flying angels of death turn up, that's going to be my focus. And I'm actually going to try and paint these properly, not paint them like I usually do, where I just chuck some colours on, earth shade it, the whole thing, and that's say it's done. I'm actually going to try and make them look semi decent.
Nice, yeah. So I just recently locally. Fantasy has come and gone locally, but we're starting a slow grow old world league. Well, not league, but I don't know what to call it. Campaign, a series of games.
Yeah,
So I've just got the Warriors of Chaos Battalion because that's like 1,500 points in just that box.
yeah,
So
nice.
I'll be painting them, and probably, if I'm honest, I'm probably going to prime them silver and then just paint some fur and wash them and call them done. I
Perfect.
think.
I should really paint my Chimera, but because everyone's jumped onto Chimera for Chimera Summer locally, it's putting the shine off of it. So, but I do need to just get some paint on because I'm using them as sort of a starter force or an introductory force as well. So,
Yeah, because locally we had sort of Sherwin, didn't we?
yep,
And then Rid also is another local who's got some
yep,
Chimera. And then Dave for Welsh Masters just swapped to Chimera.
yep,
So we're very heavily surrounded by snakes at the moment. So
yeah,
we're fed up with these snakes on these planes.
yeah. And we've got Eric that will be getting the old Umbre, so it'll be interesting because he will definitely not be doing his green like you. I can imagine he'll be doing the dark red.
Mm.
And yeah, it'll be great to see. Yeah, great to see all the factions again. And obviously, you've got your event on the 16th of August, which
Yeah.
looking forward. Hopefully, we'll have fully painted armies and some more diversity, and we'll have some great games to be just told about. eventually.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get sort of like up to 10 plus players. We'll see how we go. But regardless of the amount of players, we'll have a good day. But it'll be a
Yeah,
good little preparation. Hope if there's odd numbers, I'll play. But if not, there'll be good preparation for everyone there for Welsh as well. Because most people
yeah,
that will be there will be playing in Welsh, so that'll be really good. Excellent. We'll wrap it up there. We've ended up at a nice time. Um, Thanks everyone for joining. It's probably the most interactive we've had the chat being since we've done these things. So I'm really grateful for anyone who made a comment and interacted with me and Dan. We really, honestly, use these as a weekly catch up. We'd probably talk every week anyway, so it's nice to do it and interact with the community and share what we're talking about. So we really enjoy it, and we're really grateful for anyone who came out to join us today.
yeah. I just apologise for all the technical issues that meant that I am currently probably really pixelated, trying to use my phone as well as trying to get other bits on the internet. But thanks for being patient with us. And we're over 543 subscribers, as I see here. Aaron's done a great job, and keep on supporting him. It'd be great to keep coming back here on a Sunday to talk about the hobby. Use the Discord as well, because we want to keep on enjoying Warmachine and bringing the positivity train into the station.
Positivity train. Woo, woo. I will be fair to it, Dan. Also, that I think your internet's probably been better on your phone than it was on your laptop. So you've been very clear and not been robotic once. So once we all got it worked out well. Right. So yes, thank you everyone who joined us. We'll say goodbye now. I'm taking my beautiful wife to Warwick Castle next weekend. I'm not sure I'll be here Sunday evening, but we might be because we're being in the castle Saturday and driving home Sunday. So we probably will be, but
Yeah.
we might not be.
Great.
And if we are, we'll think of a topic to talk about. So thank you for joining us. Thanks Dan for your time, mate. It's always good to catch up. Thank you everyone in the chat, and we'll see you probably next week. Bye.